Have you ever sensed something was off about someone, like an invisible weight in the air, a subtle feeling of unease, as if their presence drained the energy from the room? You can't quite explain it, but deep down, you know. Evil doesn't always arrive with a snarl or a villain's mask. It rarely announces itself. Instead, it wears a smile, speaks with charm, and often appears helpful at first. These people don't need a reason to harm you. They do it because it is their nature. They manipulate, deceive, and control, not through force, but through the slow erosion of your confidence, your peace, and even your perception of reality. In Stoicism, we are taught to guard our minds and spirits, to recognize what is within our control. And one of the most important skills in life is learning to identify those who mean us harm before they get too close. Because evil is rarely obvious, until it's too late. But here's the good news. Evil leaves clues. There are clear warning signs, red flags that, if you pay attention, will reveal the truth about a person's character. Recognizing these signs can protect not just your peace, but your very sense of self. In this video, I'll walk you through 6 powerful red flags that expose the toxic, manipulative individuals around you. Learn these, and you won't just avoid pain, you'll reclaim your strength. Before we dive in, if you're ready to protect your peace and elevate your mindset, consider subscribing. Now, let's get into it. Red flag number 1. They constantly lie or manipulate the truth. Truth is the foundation of trust, and without it, relationships crumble. Yet, an evil person has no regard for truth, not because they need to lie, but because they want to. Deception is not just a tool for them, it is a way of life. They lie to manipulate, to control, and to keep you uncertain, questioning what is real and what is not. At first, their lies may seem harmless. A small exaggeration here, a slight distortion there. But over time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. One day, they tell you something with full confidence, only to deny it later when confronted. If you push back, they act offended, accusing you of misremembering, being too sensitive, of making things up. And slowly, doubt creeps in. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm overthinking. That's the trap. A truly malicious liar doesn't just deceive, they reshape reality. They gaslight, twisting events so that you start second-guessing your own memory, your own instincts. One moment, you are certain of the truth. The next, you are lost in a fog of confusion. This is by design. A confused mind is an easy mind to control. Now think of the times they could have told the truth, but didn't. A moment where honesty cost them nothing, yet they still chose deception. Why? Because to them, lying is not just about avoiding trouble. It is about power. They lie to create an advantage, to test boundaries, to see how much they can get away with. They fabricate stories, twist words, and distort facts, not because they must, but because they can. And the most unsettling part? They never feel guilt. A Stoic understands that clarity of mind is essential for a life of virtue. If someone constantly manipulates the truth, they are not just dishonest, they are dangerous. Every interaction with them becomes a game, a mental battlefield where you are left exhausted, drained, and unsure of what is real. And that is exactly what they want. But you do not have to play. If someone in your life fits this pattern, do not dismiss it as a bad habit or a minor character flaw. It is a red flag waving right in front of you, The longer you tolerate their deceit, the more control they gain over your thoughts, your emotions, and your sense of reality. So, ask yourself, are you constantly questioning your own perception around them? Do you feel uneasy, as if something is always off? If the answer is yes, step back, protect your mind, and most importantly, trust your instincts. Because an evil person will never hand you the truth. It is up to you to see it for yourself. Red flag number 2, they love conflict. A sure sign you're dealing with an individual whose intentions are far from virtuous is their unyielding devotion to discord. While most people strive for harmony, preferring to address disputes with kindness or at least maintain a respectful distance from turmoil, these conflict-loving personalities seem magnetically drawn to chaos, much like a moth endlessly spiraling toward a flame. In their wake, they sow seeds of disharmony, quietly orchestrating the drama around them as if it were a grand theatrical production, and they delight in every performance. In the spirit of the Stoic philosophers, we learn that external events, like conflict, are often beyond our immediate control. Yet, our response, our inner discipline, and our tranquility remain ours to govern. However, these conflict enthusiasts aim to dismantle precisely that sense of inner stability. They thrive on drama, feeding on the tension it creates, and stand ever ready to nurture misunderstanding. Sometimes they need no real motive. Causing chaos is reason enough. The swirl of arguments, the rise in anxieties, these are their trophies, evidence of their twisted craftsmanship. Consider the subtle ways they operate, planting tiny doubts in your mind about others or stirring up old resentments. They may feign innocence, but in truth, they're the architects of strife. Such people will whisper half-truths into the ears of mutual friends, fueling jealousy and suspicion. A passing comment here, a suggestive glance there, and soon the room is brimming with apprehension. It's not that they merely observe conflict, they orchestrate it. When gatherings take a sour turn, you'll catch that faint flicker of satisfaction on their face, a spark of triumph that reveals the enjoyment they derive from everyone else's distress. Imagine a simple family reunion. You're sharing laughter, fond memories, and good food, until this person drops a precisely timed remark that provokes tension between two relatives. Within moments, the mood shifts from warm camaraderie to silent unease. It's almost as though they've been waiting for the perfect chance to strike, meticulously planning the biggest disruption for the highest emotional impact. Meanwhile, they quietly slip into the background, watching the confusion unfold like a spectator at a tragic play. You can practically feel the wave of disharmony wash over the gathering, a stark contrast to the harmony that prevailed only moments before. A Stoic mindset teaches us that while we cannot control the storms that others unleash, we can safeguard our own minds. Yet, it's vital to note that this brand of conflict-driven individual does more than just stir the pot. They revel in the heartbreak, the tension, the fractured relationships, outcomes that to most of us would be deeply unsettling. If confronted, they rarely accept responsibility. Instead, they might feign ignorance, claim they're merely trying to help, or even paint themselves as the hapless victim. I don't know why everyone else is overreacting. I was just speaking the truth. In truth, their tactics are deliberate, targeting every delicate fault line they can exploit. Perhaps the most alarming aspect of these provocateurs is their utter disregard for empathy. They see no inherent worth in harmony or human connection. Rather, they feed on the negative energy conflict provides, relishing every tear shed and every friendship weakened. To them, stirring trouble is a form of entertainment, a reminder that they wield influence over others' emotions. Through intentional drama, they seize power, power that ancient Stoic teachings remind us to guard zealously by maintaining our composure and our moral center. Ultimately, your best strategy is to uphold the boundaries of your inner peace. If you sense that someone in your orbit perpetually steers conversations toward confrontation, manipulates situations to pit people against each other, or exhibits a suspiciously gleeful attitude whenever tensions run high, view this as the warning it truly is. You deserve to be surrounded by individuals who value harmony, respect, and empathy, not those who relish sowing discord for the sheer thrill of watching others suffer. Protect the sanctity of your mental well-being by taking a step back and setting firm limits. The gift of life is too precious to be squandered on those who treat relationships as a stage for ceaseless strife. As the Stoics advise, we must remain vigilant, choosing what influences we allow into our circle, and, when necessary, walking away from those whose pursuit of chaos can only drag us down. Red flag number 3. They make you feel like you're always at fault. A mind in doubt is a mind that can be controlled. Evil people understand this well, and that's why they use one of the most insidious forms of manipulation: gaslighting. They don't need chains or threats to control you, just a steady erosion of your confidence, making you question your own reality until you rely on them to tell you what's true. At first, it's subtle. You express frustration, and they tell you, "You're overreacting." You recall an event differently, and they insist, "That never happened." You bring up something hurtful they said, and they scoff, "You're too sensitive." Over time, you begin to second-guess yourself. Did you really misunderstand? Are you being too emotional? Maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't them, but you. That's exactly what they want you to believe. A person who truly cares about you will listen, even if they disagree. But an evil person doesn't seek understanding. They seek dominance. Their goal is to make you feel unstable, uncertain, and ultimately dependent on them for validation. The more you doubt yourself, the more power they gain. Picture this. You're in a disagreement, and you know you're right. You remember the conversation clearly, but they insist you're mistaken. They twist details, rewrite events, and make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. Suddenly, you're no longer defending your point. You're defending your sanity. The Stoics teach us to trust reason, to see things as they are, and to remain steadfast in what we know to be true. But gaslighting is designed to pull you away from truth, making you distrust even your own judgment. And once you start seeking external validation for what you should already know, you hand over control of your mind to someone else. If someone constantly makes you feel like you're the problem, if they dismiss your emotions and distort your reality, take it as a warning. You do not owe your loyalty to someone who poisons your sense of self. Stand firm. Trust your perception. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. And you do not need their permission to believe in your own reality. Red flag number 4. They play the victim in every situation. Life is full of challenges, and hardship spares no one. A strong person faces difficulties with resilience, taking responsibility for their choices, but an evil person. They wear their victimhood like armor, shielding themselves from accountability while using it as a weapon against others. To them, nothing is ever their fault. They blame the world, their past, the people around them, anyone but themselves. When things go wrong, they don't reflect or grow. They point fingers. And worst of all, they expect you to buy into their sob story, to feel sorry for them, to excuse their behavior because, after all, they've had it so hard. At first, this may seem like harmless self-pity, but over time, you'll notice the pattern. Their problems never seem to improve, no matter how much you help. Their misfortunes always seem exaggerated, their suffering always worse than anyone else's. They drain you emotionally, using your empathy as a leash to keep you tethered to their never-ending cycle of misery. And if you dare to hold them accountable, if you try to establish a boundary, they'll turn the tables instantly. "How could you do this to me? You're the one hurting me." Suddenly, you're the villain. Your reasonable request becomes an attack, and their failure to change becomes your fault. They distort reality so that you question whether you were too harsh, too insensitive, too selfish for prioritizing your own well-being. This is not just emotional manipulation, it's control. The Stoics teach that external events are beyond our control, but our response to them is always within our power. A person who refuses to take responsibility for their life is not just weak, they are dangerous. Because when someone never owns their actions, they will always find a way to place the burden on you. Ask yourself, are you constantly making excuses for them? Do you feel guilty for setting basic boundaries? Have you been pulled into their endless cycle of problems, only to realize that they never truly want a solution, just more sympathy? If so, it's time to step back. You are not responsible for fixing someone who refuses to help themselves. You are not obligated to stay in relationships built on guilt and manipulation. A person who clings to their victimhood at the expense of others is not just toxic. They are a threat to your peace. Recognize the pattern. Refuse to be controlled by their false narrative. And most importantly, walk away. Red flag number 5. They constantly criticize you, but never acknowledge your successes. There is a particular kind of poison that doesn't kill you outright, but weakens you over time. Constant, unrelenting criticism. It doesn't come in the form of direct attacks or outright insults. Instead, it seeps into your mind through small, carefully placed comments, always pointing out what you lack, never what you achieve. An evil person will rarely celebrate your victories. No matter how hard you work, how much you grow, or what you accomplish, it will never be enough for them. If you succeed, they'll downplay it. If you improve, they'll shift the goalpost. And if you dare to feel proud of yourself, they'll be there to remind you of everything you could have done better. Picture this. You spend weeks on a project, pushing yourself to do your best. Finally, you accomplish what you set out to do, excited to share your success with someone close to you. Their response: a cold shrug, a dismissive, "Well, that's good, but you could have done better." Or worse, they compare your achievement to their own, making sure to remind you that they've done more, done better, and always will. This isn't constructive criticism. This is deliberate erosion. A Stoic knows that external validation is fleeting, but even the strongest mind can be worn down by constant negativity. Evil people understand this. They don't want to see you grow. They want to see you doubt yourself. They want to plant a seed of insecurity so that over time you begin to believe their voice more than your own. The most insidious part. While they diminish your achievements, they elevate their own. They boast about their successes, their skills, their superiority, always positioning themselves above you. It's not just about making you feel small, it's about making themselves feel powerful. But you must remember this: their words do not define you. The Stoics teach us to measure ourselves by our own principles, our own progress, not by the opinions of those who seek to break us down. If someone in your life is constantly criticizing, yet never lifting you up, ask yourself, what do they gain from this? And more importantly, what are you losing by keeping them around? No one has the right to make you feel unworthy. Recognize the pattern, protect your mind, and never let someone else's bitterness become the measure of your worth. Step away from those who only seek to diminish you. Your growth is not theirs to control. Red flag number 6. They display no empathy or compassion. If there is one trait that separates the virtuous from the wicked, it is empathy. The ability to share in another's joy, to feel another's pain, to recognize the humanity in those around us. This is what binds people together. But an evil person? They feel nothing. Not for you, not for anyone. Their indifference is chilling. You can be suffering, breaking under the weight of grief, and they will stand there, unmoved. If they acknowledge your pain at all, it will be with cold detachment. Well, life's unfair. Or worse, they may twist the moment to make it about themselves, steering the conversation away as if your emotions are an inconvenience. Imagine experiencing a deep personal loss, the death of a loved one, a devastating failure, a heartbreak. You turn to them, hoping for understanding, for even the smallest display of kindness. But instead of comfort, you receive a blank stare, a shrug, a dismissive comment like, "It happens to everyone." In that moment, their lack of humanity is impossible to ignore. The Stoics teach us to temper our emotions, to remain resilient in the face of adversity. But they never advocate for coldness. True strength does not mean a lack of empathy. It means choosing to act with wisdom and compassion. Evil people, however, mistake apathy for power. They see others not as fellow human beings, but as tools, things to be used, discarded, or ignored when no longer useful. Their emotional emptiness creates a suffocating presence. When you are around them, you don't feel seen. You feel invisible. You don't feel understood. You feel alone. And that is exactly how they want you to feel, because isolation makes you easier to control. But here's the truth. You are not small, and you are not invisible. If someone repeatedly dismisses your emotions, refuses to acknowledge your struggles, or treats your existence as insignificant, they are showing you who they are. Believe them. A person without empathy is not simply emotionally distant or bad at expressing feelings. They are dangerous, because if they cannot care about your pain, they will have no hesitation in causing it. Recognize the warning, protect your spirit, and never waste your time trying to find warmth in someone who has none to give. The absence of empathy is not just a flaw, it is a warning sign. Walk away before their emptiness drains you too. I know this may feel like a lot to take in. Recognizing these red flags isn't always easy, especially when emotions are involved, when you want to believe the best in someone, but understanding these signs can save you from years of pain, manipulation, and self-doubt. Evil people don't always come with a warning. They slip into your life unnoticed, chipping away at your confidence, your peace, your sense of self. But here's the truth. You don't owe your energy to those who drain you. The moment you recognize these patterns, you have a choice: to step back, to protect yourself, to reclaim your power. Even if it's difficult, even if it means walking away from someone you once trusted, remember this: your peace is worth more than their presence. If this video resonated with you, I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever encountered someone like this? How did you handle it? Or are you still navigating that situation? Share your story in the comments. You never know who might need to hear it. And if you're on a journey of self-growth and self-protection, make sure to subscribe. There's so much more to explore about recognizing toxic people, building resilience, and mastering your mindset. Until next time, take care of your heart, guard your mind, and always trust your instincts.